Yo, what's going on guys, Ian77 here. In today's video we're going to be beating mid ladder with Logbait. Hopping in the first match here, we're going to be up against this guy. So yeah, I feel like Logbait's definitely one of the best decks in mid ladder right now. The Inferno Tower especially just gets like so much value against like all the crazy Mega Knight spam decks, and they have a pretty solid defense against like most decks. You have like guards plus log to counter hog riders, you have the Inferno Tower for Mega Knights, and you have like rockets for the balloons and whatnot. And unfortunately I had to go with like a really weird goblin barrel right there. Looks like this guy's going to be running some like weird balloon deck, and I kind of had a pretty awkward cycle, so I did have to waste the goblin barrel. But the nice thing about this deck is that you do have like quite a few responses to like most things. So against most decks you're going to always have like more than one response to something, so you can kind of usually always be in a good enough cycle to defend, even if sometimes it is a bit awkward, like using a defensive goblin barrel or something like that. But yeah, I feel like this deck is really good, and also like a lot of mid ladder players run like zap over arrows, so a lot of the time they're going to be struggling quite a bit against the goblin barrels, and also you can like stack princesses really easily when they don't have the correct spells against it. So I feel like this deck does really well, and as you can see, like, even our towers aren't even one-shotting the skeletons, so even though we're not like super high in trophies, we are like at a pretty good spot. I feel like we're right about 5,600, so we are still facing like a ton of those really high level players. They have like even some max cards, especially from those magic items. They were probably able to like just specifically level up just a few cards to like super high levels, but as you can see, like, we're dealing with it pretty well. And I feel like the reason Inferno Tower is just so good in this deck is because it doesn't even matter what level it is. Like, even if it's like way under level, it's still gonna get the job done at like just completely melting whatever big tank they have. And yeah, Inferno Tower is also really good against like E-Giant and against Lava Hound and Golem and all of that stuff, so it's really a good all-around building. Honestly, like, the only reason people sometimes run Tesla at top ladder, like something like Cannon, is because Cannon's a lot better. Cannon and Tesla are like a lot better against like quicker cycle decks, I feel like, or maybe not as heavy beatdown decks, but you can pretty much always expect to face Mega Knight decks and stuff like that at mid ladder. So I feel like Inferno Tower is definitely the optimal choice. If you guys only have Tesla leveled up, I would probably still run Inferno Tower, even if it was lower level than my Tesla. But if you guys really want, you could try out Tesla as well. It shouldn't be like too bad, but definitely not quite as good. And yeah, unfortunately our princess will even die to the balloon death bomb just because of being like really under leveled. But as you can see, we're dealing with stuff really well. And also one other thing to mention is that normally this Logbait deck does run Electro Spirit, especially in top ladder, but I would highly prefer running Ice Spirit in mid ladder, just because the Ice Spirit has such a long stun ever since the buff it got, so it's like really helpful on defense especially. And unfortunately that Lumberjack's actually gonna rush through super quickly somehow, so he's gonna get a few shots on our tower, but we did still defend pretty well, and we are still in a little bit of a lead right here. So yeah, as you can see, like, it's really rough with the towers two-shotting level 14 skeletons and bats and whatnot, but still holding up pretty well. And we're not being like too aggressive. Like, we're not cycling rockets on his tower, like going with goblin barrels too often. We're just going with them every once in a while and making sure to defend well. And I know like some people when they play Logbait, they just like tend to throw goblin barrels whenever, but you really have to train yourself to be a little bit more patient, especially when you're playing mid ladder. You kind of have to make sure that you're usually like trying to defend first and then go with the goblin barrel instead of just like aimlessly cycling them. But of course it does depend on the matchup, but just as a kind of general tip. And I think here we just need like maybe two more logs plus a rocket, maybe like two or three more logs. Not really sure of the exact numbers on our spells right now, but I think it should be in log plus rocket range here. So just gonna make sure we cycle back to another log as quickly as possible. We're already back to it at this point. He's gonna go with E-Barbs, but that will be a good game right here. Pretty easy win against an over-leveled player. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against this guy, and we do have Goblin Barrel in our starting hand here, so I feel like Goblin Barrel is still a pretty safe starting plan. When you're playing in mid ladder, it's usually always good to go with your Goblin Barrel like just right on the center of the tower as opposed to in the safe spot, just because nobody really runs Tornado down here. It's pretty much all going to be Mega Knight spam. But let me know in the comments down below how many trophies you guys are, because I'm not sure like if all of you guys are in this range. Maybe some of you guys are more towards like the 6,000s. And we are kind of near the 6,000 range at this point. We are like a little bit under there, so we're still facing maybe decks that are even a little bit weirder than you guys are facing, but still kind of similar in in terms of what you want to do. And I think I will have to actually defensive goblin barrel here against the bandit. Unfortunately, like, we have quite underleveled cards, so we're having to make some really awkward plays. I'm just gonna go with an Inferno Tower here. Kind of a weird placement, but just didn't want the firecracker to hit it like too early, but I don't think it really made a difference. And we're just gonna get a really nice king activation off right here. So yeah, if you want to beat like hard matchups against overleveled players, really the best way to do that is to get your king tower activated as early as possible. And it's actually quite easy to do it with Logbait, especially like you just can lure a Mega Knight or something to the middle with a building, or like a Ice Spirit or Princess or anything that you can use like a second cheap unit like an Ice Spirit or Princess as well, right in front of your king tower for a really easy king activation. So should help out quite a bit right here. It really allows you to solidify your defense, and it's also pretty easy to activate king tower off a bandit. All you need to do is place a Ice Spirit like kind of towards the middle, and then like a Princess right in front of your king tower for a pretty easy activation. And looks like this guy does have firecracker anyways though, so would have been pretty easy to get an activation regardless, but it's gonna help us out a little bit. And strangely, he is running RG. You don't really see RG too much at mid ladder, at least I think, but I don't have like too much experience with this. But yeah, I have been pushing this account a little bit recently, kind of just like grinding masteries as well, just to get some more gold to kind of upgrade my cards and level up things. And I'm not really sure where I want to leave this account in the end. I'm kind of gonna let you guys decide like where you want me to be pushing this account around, like what trophies, because I could probably get it like more towards the 6,000s range if that's what you guys are more interested in. But if you guys do prefer seeing like this range of around like 5,500 to 6,000, then I might just kind of leave it at around this trophy range with like similar card levels. But yeah, we do have decent card levels at this point. We do have like level 9 and 10 cards with like a really over leveled log. We do have level 12 log. Just decide to over level it just for fun, but kind of was really helped out by the magic items. So that's really what allowed me to do that. And it actually should be pretty easy for you guys, like even free to play players, to like just really over level one card just because of magic items. So you probably want to like pick the most important card in a deck you're running, and then just like use all of your wild cards and Book of Books and all of that stuff on like just that single card, just to make it super strong. But you really have to make sure that you're putting it into the right card that you know that you're probably gonna never take out of whatever decks you decide to main. But and yeah, as you can see here, like in mid ladder, it's kind of a lot of rinse and repeat. They kind of just like spam stuff at the bridge randomly, and you kind of just have to keep making similar plays, but you do kind of have to still be careful though, because you never know when they could like pull out a random freeze or like some card that you had no idea that was coming. But yeah, as you can see here, like he's always forced to use his arrows on our princesses, so now he's not going to have arrows for our goblin barrels, so we're just getting like steady chip damage pretty much all the time right here. And yeah, I'm just going to pre-plant an Inferno Tower. I normally never do that, but we do kind of have an awkward cycle, and it's kind of predictable what most mid-ladder players will do, so I kind of knew that he'd just stand at the bridge any second. And I did waste my log earlier just to cycle on his tower, but we were already able to cycle back to another one before his goblin barrel started hitting our tower. And I think that should be a good game right here. I think we need like a log as well, and yeah, really nice win against the dirty Mega Knight spammer. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against this guy. So this time we don't have Goblin Barrel in our starting hand, so it's always fine to like cycle your Ice Spirits. It is also a good play to cycle your Princess first play, so you can pretty much cycle anything with Logbait aside from like your Inferno Tower or Rocket first play, but he is going to give us a good value Rocket on his Witch right there. So the really nice thing about Rocket is that even when you have like a really underleveled Rocket, it still will usually kill like those overleveled Witches and Wizards, so you're always gonna be able to take them off the board pretty easily. And it's honestly super hard to do with maxed out Witches when you're underleveled, just because like especially my towers, like two-shotting level 14 skeletons are just so tough for me. So it is really useful to just be able to take it off the board whenever I want with the Rocket. And he's gonna have a Valkyrie Hog push right here, and I think we still need to commit the guards to it, just because maxed out Hogs do like such a crazy amount of damage. Yeah, so I think his Hog got 2 shots there, and not looking too good for us, but luckily he did waste his arrows, so maybe we can get a good Goblin Barrel on him. But I do kind of want to wait a little bit. I don't want to just like spam Goblin Barrels, because even though he doesn't have arrows in cycle. I do kind of have to wait for the right moment, but he's going to cycle that witch there, so I feel pretty confident in going with the goblin barrel just because he probably doesn't have too much elixir. And his Mega Knight is going to come down here, but I think we should be able to activate King Tower versus it using the Princess plus Ice Spirit technique that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, really nice king activation right there. Basically picture perfect, and that activation technique also does work against bandits, so really good to keep in mind if you just want to kind of improve your play. I know probably a lot of you guys have been playing Logbait for a while, because I know quite a few of my viewers do play Logbait, but to really improve your gameplay and kind of take yourself to the next level, you have to be making plays like that, like activating your king tower and doing all those really smart plays just to like make sure you're always really playing as well as you possibly can, and always improving and stuff like that. So he did actually waste arrows there, but he does have Skarmy in his deck as well. Like pretty much all of the mid ladder players do have Skarmy in their deck, so sometimes you have to kind of go with like prediction logs and stuff at the same time as your goblin barrels, but I wasn't really expecting it right there, so just gonna have to wait until next time to try that out. But he doesn't have Skarmy or arrows ready yet, so goblin barrel just gonna like wreak havoc on his tower, and just like that, we're already like in a huge lead at this point. So our rocket is pretty underleveled, so I don't think we can rocket him just yet, but I think he's right around like two rockets plus a log, and I think that would be his tower. But we do kind of have to defend first though, because most of the mid ladder players just like will really spam you at the river very hard, so just have to make sure you can defend well first. And yeah, Inferno Tower is just doing so well, like even though it's a completely maxed out Mega Knight, it's still not even going to be able to have a chance against our Inferno Tower. And he's actually going with arrows right here, so his hog might actually get quite a bit of damage. We're just going to go with a log, hopefully defend, and we do just barely defend, but looking actually pretty sketchy right now. Like as you can see, like those arrows kind of caught me off guard. You know, the one thing about guards is that even though guards are pretty spell resistant, you do have to be aware that arrows actually do fully counter guards. So you have to be a little bit aware of that sometimes. Like they can catch you really off guard with it when you're just thinking they're like fully spell resistant. You do have to remember that there are some spells that can take it out. So hopefully this Mega Knight dies right here. Yeah, looks like it does die, and he doesn't have arrows in cycle right now, so hopefully our Goblin Barrel does get some chip damage on his tower. Yeah, so at this point I think we just need like one more log to finish the game, and we should be able to defend this Hog Rider pretty well. Honestly, our King Tower was also helping quite a bit at taking down his Hog Riders, so that will be a good game, and we're just going to flex the global tournament emote on him. Alright, hopping in the next game here, we're going to be up against this guy, and we do have a pretty fine cycle right here. The one thing is that our Ice Spirits are quite underleveled, so we can't really play them at the river, otherwise they won't even connect to his tower like normally, just because of how underleveled they are. But Ice Spirit's like mainly good for defense anyway, so it shouldn't really matter too much here. It looks like he will be running Dark Goblin plus Goblin Barrel right here, so it could be like a baity deck that he's going to be running, maybe like a nearly mirror matchup, but just going to have to see what his final cards are right here. So it looks like he will have Dark Prince. I'm honestly just going to protect my Princess here. I do have quite an underleveled Valkyrie compared to his Dark Prince, but I think it should still take it out. Alright, looks like he does go with the Fireball right there, so still pretty good trade for us right there. And yeah, so the nice thing about running Log is that even if they have like super overleveled Goblin Barrels, the Log will pretty much always kill it, but we're going to have to go with just a set of guards right here because we didn't have Log in cycle. But normally this deck is really nice though, because you have a Valkyrie which can actually fully counter Goblin Barrels, and you do have the Log as well, which is super reliable at countering Goblin Barrels. But the one thing to note is that you can't counter a Goblin Barrel two levels higher than your Valkyrie. So if you're running a level 13 Valkyrie, you can counter a level 14 Goblin Barrel, but if they're running if you're running a level 12 Valkyrie and they have a level 14 Goblin Barrel, your Valkyrie won't actually be able to fully counter it. So you do kind of have to keep in mind how the interactions will change each match based on what card levels you and your opponent have. So that's the kind of one thing that's a little bit difficult about mid ladders, that it's really hard to know how things will play out when the levels are really different between you and your opponent. So you kind of just have to play a little bit safer than you normally would. And yeah, so our Ice Spirit's actually gonna get like one shot by his EWs, which wouldn't normally happen either, but still looking pretty fine right here because it only got a shot on our weak side tower, so it doesn't really matter either way. And Princess is going to be chipping away at the left lane. And the nice thing about Logbait in mid ladder is that Logbait's like a pretty quick deck in general, even though this version isn't like as quick as some other Logbait versions maybe. It still is quite a quick deck, so even when they have like quite a few answers to you, you can still like really easily put them in a bad cycle or bait out the responses, so you can still punish them pretty well. And we're going to get an activated King Tower there. It is a little bit later in the match already, but still should help out quite a bit because you never know how hectic things could get in triple elixir. And I'm just going to go with the juke barrel here, see if he falls for it. He kind of does. We will get one goblin stab there, and he's even going to waste the E-Wiz, so I'm just going to go with the rocket right here. Not really too worried about defense. You can pretty much defend anything he throws at us with just like an Inferno Tower and a Valkyrie, if necessary. So yeah, not really too worried here, but yeah, as you can see, like, the Ice Spirits are just stunning the Mega Knights for so long, so they're never really able to do anything, but we are sometimes being forced to waste our logs on his Dart Goblins just because they're so high level that it's like really scary for us if we leave his Dart Goblins alive. So his Goblin Barrels do get some chip damage usually as a result of that, but still looking pretty good right here. And you can always defend Goblin Barrels really well with guards, especially if you have to. So you can even fully counter a Goblin Barrel with like guards plus Ice Spirit or something like that. So you do have quite a few options. And he's going to go with a Mega Knight or a Goblin Barrel. I think I'm just going to go with the Rocket right here. And also a log, so he'll go with the Goblin Barrel of his own right there, but I think we just need like one more log and one more rocket to finish this game up, and we should be able to get it off here before the Mega Knight takes our tower. It will have like a ton of HP and do a ton of damage, but I don't think it will be able to get it in time, and I'm just going to chuck the log at his tower right now, and that will be a good game. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against this guy, so we don't have Goblin Barrel in our starting hand either, but it is always a fine play to cycle your log first play. Sometimes they do run like Goblin Barrel and stuff like that, but you still have like quite a few other responses to it, so it usually should be fine. And unfortunately we didn't have Inferno Tower in our cycle for his Hog Rider. I feel like Hog Rider has to be the most popular win condition in mid-ladder by probably quite a bit, unless you consider the Mega Knight itself a win condition, but usually the Mega Knight is going to be paired with another win condition, at least if they're making a proper deck. So yeah, and we did actually have to spend the Princess there on his bats just because his bats are like level 14, so that would pretty much take like, I don't know how much of our tower, but it probably would take like a third of our tower just because of the bats being so over leveled. And honestly, I'm just going to go with an Inferno Tower here against his Valkyrie, even though he does have Hog in his deck. The Valkyrie he uses just has so much HP being max level, so if we didn't use our Inferno Tower and we used like a Valkyrie of our own, I think it would have just got completely wrecked, so that's why I went with that right there. And he's going to go with the Hog Rider, but the nice thing about Ice Spear is that it also stuns opponent Hog Riders for so long. So, yeah, as you can see, like, we flawlessly defended his Hog Rider right there, whereas if we had like an Electro Spear or something, we would have probably taken like so much damage right there from his Hog. So yeah, really nice right here. Princess is going to clean up the bats pretty easy. Always have to make sure to clean up the bats, otherwise they'll just get like way too much damage. And he is wasting his log pretty often on our princesses, so I'm just going to cycle a Goblin Barrel right here, try to get a little bit of chip damage to kind of catch up in this match. And looks like he's going to go with the Fireball right there, so he's still going to defend pretty well, but it will be a -1 trade for him each time. And as you can see, like, Inferno Tower's doing pretty good against my opponent's Hog Riders. It is still a little bit difficult just because of like how crazy overleveled the opponent's Hog Riders are, but I feel like Inferno Tower would do much better than like a cannon, which I feel like if you run an underleveled cannon in mid-ladder, just gonna get like 2-shot by opponent Hog Riders. So I feel like cannon isn't the best building, and I feel like Inferno Tower is quite a lot better just because it has like so much HP. Like even though it is more expensive and stuff, it just has like so much HP even when it is a little bit underleveled. So I feel like it does quite a lot better of a job at countering opponent units in mid-ladder. And we're going to do a really good job with these Ice Spirits every time, always making sure to pull the Mega Knight in the perfect placement kind of, so the Inferno Tower will just like shred it before it even has a chance to jump on the Inferno Tower. And he kind of completely wasted that Mega Knight right there, just playing it right into an Inferno Tower. So you might think these opponents aren't too good, but to be fair, this is what you guys are going to mostly be facing in mid-ladder, so you can't really complain too much, I guess. But yeah, his Musketeer is actually going to get a hit on our tower right there, kind of unfortunately, but we're still defending pretty well the whole game, and even though we're down a little bit of damage at this point, it doesn't really matter too much, because I know we can easily catch up at the end using like a rocket or two, so not really too worried. And Inferno Tower just going to do such a good job every time. And yeah, just gonna kind of block this Valkyrie with a set of guards right here. Just make the Hog Rider go all the way towards the Inferno Tower, allowing it to pretty much counter it fully. And yeah, gonna go with the Princess at the river right here too. And just like that, we did take the lead back by just a little bit, but he does have like a super overleveled Fireball in his deck, so we do kind of have to make sure to still chip away at him a little bit before we get too comfortable. Because as you can see, like, his Fireballs do like so much damage, like almost as much as Rockets it feels like, so do have to be a little bit careful here. But I think the late Inferno Tower should counter it. Even though the Inferno Tower is so underleveled, you can see it's still doing like a super good job right here. And alright, the Mega Knight didn't actually jump on the Inferno Tower right there, so actually pretty good for us, just so the Mega Knight doesn't get too close to our tower or anything. And you can see guards are also doing a really good job against his Musketeers and stuff. I feel like guards are quite a lot better than Goblin Gang in mid ladder, just because they're like a lot more spell resistant. Like, even though the guards are kind of meant to be a little bit of a spell bait unit, they still are resistant to like a lot more spells than the Goblin Gang would be. And also they have like the shield, which really helps out quite a bit more than guards. So I definitely run guards over Goblin Gang unless I had my Goblin Gang like just way higher level than my guards. Under pretty much every other circumstance, I would be running the guards. And he did actually miss our Goblin Barrel with his log right there. It's really important to go with the Juke Barrels because the players in mid ladder will almost always be missing them just because they're not really paying too much attention. They're kind of just like casually playing. And at this point, we just need one more log, and I think this will be good gaming in a sec right here. He's going to defend that, but just going to throw the log. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!